like to recognize Mr. Subramanyam for 5 minutes of questioning.
Thank you. I'm glad we're having this hearing today. I actually had the chance to talk to an animal care program manager at a research facility, and he said something really interesting. He said the day we no longer need animals for research is the day we've succeeded as an industry. So I think what you're finding is that even the people who are employed to run these programs are starting to realize that we'd like to see a path to where we no longer need animals. And so I think that's really interesting. One of the things I would like to know, though, is how far away are we until the technologies can completely replace animals and we can still be on the cutting edge of science? You know, I'm an animal lover, I'm a vegan even. I very much support getting rid of animals in all testing. But I want to make sure that we also, do the cutting edge research that we need to do. I'd ask all three, really, Ms. Baker, Dr. Locke, Mr. Goodman, if you could address how far away are we? And I also would love to know what kind of investment do we need? Does it have to be from the public sector? Is there, private sector, companies going after this, getting venture funding for it, for instance? I'd love to know, what we can do, what the path looks like.
Thank you for the question. There are so many incredible technologies that we have today that we should be using to be on the cutting edge. So, using animals is not cutting edge. Using animals is something that has been done for so long. The innovative approaches don't use animals. They are human biology based because we need to understand human outcomes. If we want to talk about innovation, if you look to just take a look at any other industry. Look at the phone industry. What was a phone in the 1950s versus what it is today? What was a car back then versus what it is today? What is science doing back then? What was science doing back then versus what is happening today? A lot of the regulatory tests that are done are the same exact tests that have been done since the 1950s. So if we're talking about really being on the cutting edge, we absolutely have to be embracing and supporting and investing in these approaches. It's not just our federal government. There are many companies that exist today that have already developed these approaches. I think they will do much better once we do things like remove requirements for testing products on animals, because there still is so much favoritism in science for using the animal-based approaches, because people think that you have to do it if you want to get an NIH grant, you have to do it if you want to get through the FDA. And so once those things really start to change, I think we'll see a lot more investment in the government and outside.
And Dr. Locke, the same question.
Yes, thank you for the question. The good news is that at least in one area, cosmetics testing, we are pretty much out of the animal testing business. If you look at other areas, for example, testing of environmental chemicals, drugs, and discovery, we're not there yet. How long is it going to take? I always like to say it's not a matter of if, but it's a matter of when. But no one's ever asked me to put a time on that, and I'm afraid I can't do that. I know what steps we need to take to get there, which are to really start to fund these technologies, to make sure that these technologies are valid, to get the federal government to really be very, very much of a leader in these. I do believe that we have an incredibly entrepreneurial private sector that is well positioned to be leaders in these in the world market. You're seeing all sorts of continuous funding of these from venture capitalists. You're seeing all sorts of use of these technologies in medical settings. There's a lot of personalized medicine that is being used. So the future is very bright. I think it's just really a matter of getting us on the right pathway to do that. It's not going to be something, unfortunately, I think it's going to happen in 5 years or 10 years, but it could happen in 20, 30, 40, maybe not even within my lifetime, but to be honest with you, I don't really care as long as we get on that pathway.
Mr. Goodman.
I think I'm a little more optimistic. I mean, we could stop animal testing today. It's useless, it's misleading us, it's causing us to waste billions of dollars every year, decades of time and energy, and very smart people. These are some of the smartest people in the world. You cut off their funding for animal testing, they're going to figure out something else to do. The private sector is going to innovate. Stop forcing companies to test on animals. Stop doling out billions of dollars to animal experimenters who have no incentive to innovate and actually solve problems, because that's what keeps the grants coming. They'll figure out another way to do it, and we're going to get solutions that way. The EPA is a great example. I know my time's up, but the EPA set a timeline in 2019. The Trump administration said by 2035 we're going to phase out all animal testing, which was great. It was lauded by Republicans, Democrats, everyone across the spectrum thought it was a great idea. Within months of that, within months of the Biden administration taking over, they killed that plan to phase the timeline to phase out animal testing at the EPA, because environmental groups pushed them to do it, saying that it was an environmental justice issue, that we needed to do more animal testing, not less, which is ridiculous. So I think that if you take the politics out of it, if we're concerned with science and we're concerned about being good stewards of taxpayer dollars in the public's interest, we can end animal testing tomorrow. We're going to be fine, and we're actually going to be better off.
Thank you.
Thank you. I would now